Hello all, I'm back with another option trade setup video for Tuesday, September 7th trading day, and that is because it is Labor Day on Monday, so the markets will not be open. So let's go ahead and talk through some setups I'm looking at for Tuesday. So first up is pins. So I want to bring your attention to the daily first. So here we have a bullish rev strat setup. In this case, what that means is you have an inside candle, two down, in this case for it being bullish. And then we're looking for taking out the high of this two down at 56.92. And our target will be the top of the candle previous to the one. So in this case, our target is 58.16. So with that said, I'm looking at 58 strikes for the weekly contracts, which I believe would be a September 10th expiration. Now, as you know, I like to use the 4-hour to get an earlier entry into these daily plays. So in this case, we have the potential for a 2-1-2 bullish reversal. We have a two down, an inside candle, and then if we take out the high of this inside candle at 56.66, we'd be looking to target, 56.92. 56.92, however, is the entry point for kicking off our bullish rev strat, daily rev strat. So in this case, the 56.92 is not only a target, it's also an add point. And in that case, I use blue, for my additions. Anytime there's an entry, an addition or an initial entry, and then green is the target. And in this case, I could buy a different contract that's kind of closer to this target, but I like to just treat that as earlier entries and that just depends on what the contracts look like as well. So in this case, for whatever reason, the volume of the contracts, most likely it's the volume and open interest. But the other Greeks as well. Sometimes theta, the decay, the delta. But in this case, I am looking at 58 strikes. And then if we can continue that on, we also have the potential for a 2-2 bullish continuation, which is 3 2-ups. So if we go 2-up at 58.16, which again is the target of the bullish daily rev strat, that is where we go 2-up again on the week. And in that case, you would just target another pivot. So in this case, that target could be 59.41. I'll change that to this greenish teal I like. And finally, you see I have the 60.94 plotted. So that 60.94 is the top of this two down, at which case we would go 2-up on the month. So 2-up on the month at 60.94, and we'd be looking at a 3-2-2 bullish setup in this case, where we take out the high of the previous month, that was a two down, and we could target all the way up here. But again, doing a mix of swing trading and day trading, but my intent for pins is to definitely keep an eye on it as it moves, and potentially moves to do that month in force. However, in this case, I really am just looking at this for a day trade or a weekly swing. And you probably can hear that music. I am in my front room at the moment and also in New York at the moment, so it's a bit loud. But moving on to IBM. So IBM, let's start off looking at the, in this case, daily. So I'm looking for a 2-2 bearish reversal where we would take out the low of the previous day and then target, the low of the candle preceding that. In this case, that's 139.30. We'd be looking to get in, and 139.03 we'd be looking to fall to. So in this case, I'm looking at the 139 strike. But again, let's head over to the 4-hour and look for an earlier entry. So we have the potential for a 2-1-2 bearish reversal. We have a 2-up that's red, an inside candle that's red, If we take out the low of the inside candle at 139.54, we can target 139.30 for it to drop to, which is the low of the two up that preceded that inside candle. And in this case, I would be looking to buy the 139 strike based off of the daily setup, and would take care to potentially take profit off of that at this 139.30. But that all depends on what it looks like price is doing. So I'll be looking to see if I'm getting bearish continuation moving forward on whatever time frame I'm looking at. Very likely the 3-minute mixed with the 5, mixed with the 9-minute. But in this case, I am, treating this as an early entry, looking at that same contract I want for the, daily reversal. And then if we look at the week, we have a bullish or a bearish rev strat set up. So we have an inside candle, a 2 up, and then if we take the low of the 2 up at around 139.82, it looks like. Yeah, 139.82. Our target would be 137.21. So I'm going to be looking to see, if that 139.82 goes out, that could be another good place to add to the 138s and to the 139s. But as you can see here, I did plot 138s. The reason I plotted 138s is because I might just pick up a new contract. And if we trigger that daily or the weekly bearish rev strat. I'll also say the way I like to look at things is if this triggers in the morning, like if this triggers prior past open, so meaning it opens lower, like it opens around 139.12, I have to negate the 4-hour and the daily setup. So in that case, I will look to maybe just trigger the weekly and then hop into 138 strikes instead of 139s. And then let's take a look at the month. The month we go 212 bearish continuation on the month. If we cross 139, oh, hold on, that's interesting. If we cross 137.21, so 137.21 is the target for that weekly rev strat, bearish rev strat. So if we reach that target for the weekly bearish rev strat, we're actually putting a 212 continuation on the month. And then, you can hold even lower. In this case, to the low of this is 136.21. So yeah, 136.21. And I'm getting that number by hovering over the candle and looking at these numbers up here, by the way. You can see the low while I hover here is 136.21. So yeah, I'd be looking at, if these trigger because they open lower than, where our entries are at, I'd very likely just look at the week setup. And that's why I like getting into positions early in the week and then, holding and throughout the week based off of, how they're progressing along this, kind of chain of reaction, triggering 4-hour, the daily, the weekly, the monthly, and, taking profit along the way at key points, obviously, which would be every time you see a green line. So potentially taking profits off of the 4-hour entry, off of the daily entry, and then, the week is kind of this other play with the 138 strike we talked about. So that is IBM. Moving on now to QS. In this case, I'm looking for movement to the upside. So let's just start on the 4-hour here. So a 212 bullish reversal. We have a 2 down, an inside candle. We cross the top of this inside candle at 22.53. We target the high of the previous 2 down, which is 22.80. And that is our 212 bullish reversal. I chose a 23 strike simply because at that 2280, we are triggering a 2-2 reversal, bullish reversal to the upside. And I like this 2 down because it's a hammer, meaning, there's some strong price rejection for lower prices. And, it ultimately opened higher and closed lower. However, it closed within this tighter range, even though it tested lower prices. And in this case, the target is the high of the previous candle. So that would be 23.36. So I'm looking at the 23s. So getting in the 23s on this 212 bullish reversal off the 4-hour, and adding to the 23 strikes based off of this 2-2 bullish reversal that we're looking for on the daily. And then at 23.36, that would trigger the 2-2 bullish continuation. So these 3 2-ups, that would give us our third 3-up, 2-up. And you can look at like the next pivot for a target there. So that 24.71. But again, I would just be, I'd very likely, this would just be me holding my runners until that next point to take profit. And the other thing to note is the month has a 2-2 reversal to the upside at 24.71. So that target, that's where the month actually has reversal to the upside, at which point, might buy some further out 30s. That would be the candle to target. So the candle prior to this 2 down, so 29.83. So looking at 30s that are further out potentially if that triggers. Okay, moving on to DraftKings. Okay, so DraftKings, I am looking here for on the 4-hour a 212 bullish reversal. You can see here though that's pretty tight. So in this case, I would just consider both of these entries. I'd really be looking, as after it crosses 6105, taking if it looks like it's moving up based off of what the candles are doing on a lower time frame, then I'll very likely get in. But looking to trigger the 212 bullish continuation here, we have a nice tight small hammer on the daily, and that is at 6114. So if I cross 6114, the target would be 61.68. So looking at the 62 contracts there. And if we cross 61.68, that is the high of the previous week, in which case we can look for some higher pivots off of the monthly. So we go 2 up on the month at 61.77. So we could look to possibly target the high here at 64.60. But either way, I'd have the 62s that I get in at 61.14, the high of this hammer here. And this would just be an indication to hold more if we, do go 2 up on the month. So that's DraftKings. It might be an indication to buy some further out 64 strikes as well. But in terms of the day trading and what I'm looking at, that's DraftKings. Okay, moving on to BA, Boeing. In this case, I'm looks like I'm bearish on it. So looking for a 212 bearish continuation. A doji-like shooter here in the sense that the open and close was at the bottom half of this candle. Doji-like because it's practically the same price. It opened at 218.15 and it closed at 218 something. You can't see here. So once we cross below that low, okay, 218.09. Then the target is 217.46. But as you know how this works, that's the point where we go 2 down again on the daily. And one thing to note about Boeing, let me go ahead and so you can see here we're consolidating after, it built itself up, it fell for however many days it is, 5 to 6 days, and now we're consolidating. So really it could break up, as price can always do. It moves up, down, and sideways. So it could break up, it could break down. I am more bearish on it. So I'm looking for it to break down to this level of 210, which we are getting from the there on the weekly. There is a bearish rev strat that I haven't talked about yet. So at the low of this 2 up around 217.13. Let me see where this really is. Yeah, that looks to be 217.09. So yeah, 217.09, we have the potential to drop all the way to 210.94. So looking at the 210 puts here, based off of ideally this 217.09, but I will be paying attention to the earlier triggers as well to get into this a bit early. So the 4-hour triggers and then the daily triggers. So just wanted to show that so you can recognize price consolidation, trading in this tight range here. So that's both of these weeks. So we had the big drop, and then we had an inside week, and then we had an inside week again, practically. It barely went 2 up. And really, we're looking, it needs to break out of either, these ranges here, this low or this high. Another thing to note about Boeing, if we go to the monthly chart and take a look. So this big drop here is March 2020, the COVID-19 drop in the market, and we've not recovered to those price levels yet. So you can notice that consolidation here as well. So we dropped, came up, came down. So we might drop back down, to a support level around here, or, go back up to a support level around here. But ultimately, I'm looking at the 210 strike, which is this orange line right here. And that would be, around the support level here, dropping, and then, potentially going up again, going down further. I don't know. But just wanted to give the overall story of Boeing and kind of point out its struggle to recover to, pre-pandemic levels. Last but not least, we have NEO. So for NEO, I'm looking for interesting, that didn't get labeled, but I'm pretty sure that is a 3. Because it's doji. It's a doji. I never didn't plot those like that, but yeah. So this is a 312. Looking for that off of the 4-hour, off of the daily. Looking for a 212 continuation, and really just recognizing that NEO is full time frame continuity green, so they're buying it, and we have a bit of a gap to fill. Pretty much filled this gap from the weekly drop, but can come higher than that gap. And just looking at, we had a 2 up week, we had a 2 up week, an outside week. So just looking to continue that trend up. I'm not going to talk through the individual levels. This video is pretty long already. So go ahead and just take note of them. And then if you want to see what else I'm looking at Etsy, and I'm looking at all of these in purple here as well. So yeah, Hope you all have a good trading day on Tuesday and a good Labor Day weekend. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, and please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.